Chicago, born July 20th, 1939, is an American female artist, art teacher, and also a writer known for her big collaborative art pieces about birth and creation, which studies the role of women in history and culture. During the 1970s, Chicago founded the first feminist art program in the United States at California State University, Fresno State College. It acted as a motivation for feminist art and art teaching during the 1970s. Her inclusion in hundreds of publications in multiple areas of the world show her influence in the worldwide art community. Additionally, most of her books have been published in other countries, making her work more available to international readers. Judy Chicago's work includes a variety of artistic skills such as needlework, welding, and illuminations. Judy Chicago created the dinner party that is installed in the Brooklyn Museum. It took Judy Chicago 5 years to create and cost about $250,000 to complete. Chicago designed the project in a Santa Monica studio. A large triangle which measures 48 feet by 43 feet by 36 feet involves 39 place settings. Each place holds a historical or mythical female figure, such as artist, goddess, and fighters. 13 women are represented on each side. The decorated table is stitched in a style and technique of the highlighted woman's time. Many women are printed in the heritage floor upon which the pieces are placed. The project came into being with the assistance of over 400 people who were mainly women. Chicago gave out her work in 6 countries on 3 continents. Over 1 million people saw Chicago's art. In 1981, Chicago said that the threats and hateful comments about her art made her think about suicide, and she never thought about that before. Chicago was inspired by the ordinary woman, which was a focus of the early 1970s feminist actions. This inspiration led into her work, Extra in the Dinner Party, as an interest with material work and craft, types of art often culturally related with women. She learned how to spray paint and techniques and the skill to fuse colors and surface to any type of media, which would become the name of her later work. These skills allowed Chicago to bring fiberglass and metal into her creations, and eventually she would become a learner under Mim Zelinsky to learn the art of pottery painting, which would be used to construct items in the dinner party. From 1980 to 1985, Chicago created the Birth Project. The piece used images of childbirth to honor a woman's role as mothers. 150 needle workers from the United States, Canada, and New Zealand assisted in the art, working on 100 panels by quilting, macrame, coloring, and other techniques. The majority of the pieces from the Birth Project are held in the collection of the Albuquerque Museum. With the Birth Project, Chicago started working on her own on Power Play in 1982. A series of large-scale paintings, drawings, and cast paper reliefs. The Power Play series was inspired by Chicago's trip to Italy, where she saw the art pieces being represented in the Western artistic tradition. As Judy Chicago wrote in her adventure book, I was to be greatly influenced by actually seeing the big paintings. Looking at their monumental scale and clarity led me to decide to cast my test of masculinity in the classical tradition of fearless nude, to do so in a series of large-scale oil paintings. When I saw Judy Chicago's piece, Almost Born, part of the Birth Project collection on the wall at the Harwood Museum, I thought it was very creative and I was drawn to it. The colors, how it was made, and it seemed like a really cool piece of art. As I got to know more about Judy Chicago and her work, it made learning about her and her piece more interesting. Actually, yesterday was her birthday. She is 84. One of the most interesting things I learned about her is that she founded the first feminist art program. She was one of the first artists to make women the focus of her work, giving them more prominence and voice as she shared women's stories through her art. Women need to be more known. We do more work than we are given credit for. According to Gallup researcher Megan Brennan, although women comprise nearly half of the U.S. workforce, they still fulfill a large share of household responsibilities. I feel like a lot of people still do not take women seriously, that we can be pushed around, that we have no power, and that is simply not true. In the words of Judy Chicago, remember our heritage is our power. We can know ourselves and our capacities by seeing that other women have been strong.